Hello and welcome back to Young and Visionary with me, Esnat Suleiman. In today's episode, I will be talking about how to handle a financial windfall. To begin with, let me define what a financial windfall is. Well, remember those instances when you come into contact with a lot of money that was unexpected, money that is not part of your regular cash flows. Examples could be the annual bonus that you get. It comes once a year. It's not part of your annual revenues, and you can't really plan how much will actually come in a particular year. Other types of financial windfalls could be inheritance. You could also have people who win the lottery, very rare, but indeed it is still a huge financial windfall. Or it could even be retirement funds. So you only get to retire once in your life. Well, in some instances anyways. So when you do retire and you receive that retirement package, that is also considered a windfall. So in this episode, I will be discussing how to handle a financial windfall. Well, let me kick off this topic by actually explaining what you should not do with your financial windfall. Well, normally when we do receive a significant amount of money, it presents a lot of opportunity to do the things that we are not able to do out of our normal cash flow. And sometimes our minds can run wild over what to do with our money. So I want to give just a few examples of things that you should not do. So first of all, investing in lifestyle. What do I mean by investing in lifestyle? The best way for me to explain this is actually to give examples. So I'll give a couple of examples, starting with buying a home. There is a lot of consideration that we need to make when we're making a decision about buying our first home. We need to think about whether we're actually planning to live in it or whether we plan to rent it out. Assume you are living in an area like Nkologosa, in a rented house. You're paying a rental of, let's say, 100,000 to 150,000 a month. Now you receive your windfall and you think, oh, let me go upgrade my lifestyle and buy a house in Namiwawa. It's an amazing thing to do, like I said. However, what you have not considered is that once you move to Namiwawa, your house in Namiwawa will require you to pay city rates that are higher in Namiwawa than they would have been in Kolokosa. You will probably need to also pay ground rent, depending on the type of house that you've bought, the land that your house is situated on. Apart from that, your bills, your water bills, your electricity bills will be higher in Namiwawa than they would have been in Kolokosa. What that does is that it increases your expenditures on a monthly basis. Now, your regular income has not changed, but you have introduced additional expenses because of this investment that you have made in your lifestyle. So these are the things that we need to consider when you're buying your first home. How much of an upgrade should it be, and how does that upgrade then affect your continuous expenses? If we plan to rent it out, it doesn't hurt to go buy a house in an affluent area because you can also get a good amount of rental. But if you're actually going to live in it yourself, you may have to consider whether the ongoing increase in expenses will be sustainable. So be very mindful about how you invest in a home after receiving a windfall. A second example that I can give is buying a car. So let's assume you drive a car that has a 1.5 liter engine, right? Consumption, excellent. But you decide, oh, I want to upgrade. I want to buy an SUV or maybe a German machine or something, and it has an engine size, for argument's sake, of 2.5 or maybe even 3.2. Already what that means is that your fuel expenses are going to be higher. That also means that your service costs are also going to be higher. But your regular income has not changed. And what you've done is you've invested in what you consider to be an asset. However, it will result in higher expenses in the future. Another thing that I would discourage is investing in a business that you have zero idea about, because the likelihood of success of that business is neither here nor there. Starting a business is difficult, and most businesses take a number of years before they become profitable. And you can imagine that is the case even in areas where people have expertise. But can you imagine then going into a business that you have no clue about? There will be a lot of trial and error. You may engage people, and people may actually take advantage of you, and you could end up losing all the money. So when you do get a financial windfall, it's not the time to start trial and error. It's actually the time to be precise and to know exactly what to do with your money. So now that will take us to the second part of this episode, where I will now be talking about what you should do with your financial windfall. Oftentimes when we receive a windfall, it's because we've actually worked hard. It does not make sense to not enjoy even a single bit of your windfall. So I actually recommend to spend at least or about 20%, not at least, probably at most 20% on yourself. Do the things that you love. It's a way of rewarding yourself for the hard work. It's a way of motivating yourself to work hard for the next year. It's the remaining 80% that you should then be even more wise about. First things first, pay down high interest debt. Now, debt can be good, especially if you have used that money to actually invest in assets. It has been one way that has actually propelled a lot of people to acquire assets that they would not with their normal revenue, and actually improve their financial well-being. However, when you do receive a financial windfall, it's actually an opportunity to start to pay down that debt. And what we encourage is that you actually start to pay down your high interest debt, because that high interest debt actually puts pressure on your day-to-day income. Another thing that you can do with your financial windfall is use it as an opportunity to boost your investments. So everyone wants to have wealth. The best way to create wealth is to invest your money. But oftentimes, the money that we do get on a regular basis may not be enough to actually help us to achieve our financial goals. When you receive a financial windfall, it's an opportunity for you to boost your investments and then invest in those bigger assets, take bigger positions, whether in government securities, in shares, in whatever assets that you would wish to take. So use that opportunity to boost your investments. So another thing that you should consider doing with your financial windfall is to actually invest in your emergency fund. So in life, we do plan. Sometimes we even plan for eventualities, but life happens. And when life happens, oftentimes we start looking to the people that we depend on to lend us money, but sometimes they also don't have the money to lend us. So an emergency fund comes in handy in those moments, because you then just simply go and use the funds that you have accumulated in your emergency fund, giving you the financial freedom that you need. You could also consider investing in a sinking fund. Now, a sinking fund is a fund that you invest for the purposes of maybe paying down debt, or even paying for a wasting asset. Now, a wasting asset, for example, would be now your vehicle. So over time, your vehicle loses value and will need to be replaced. So it's an asset that has a fixed lifespan, and then its use depreciates over time. So such assets will obviously need to be replaced after some time. So you can invest in a sinking fund for the purposes of replacing that asset on a future date. Or you could invest in that sinking fund so that you could use it to meet your debt repayments without affecting your regular income. So consider investing in a sinking fund. And that concludes today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned one or two things, and I hope that it will have a positive impact in your life. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this page so that every time there's a new episode, you are able to catch it. Have a great day.